Okay. Uh, as we have ended the full set of videos for election law, there are some matters which I want to go back to or brush up on because we might have neglected pointing them out in our previous lectures. So here are some FAQs and details and updates on our lecture on election law. First, we might want to get into the details of how the votes are cast during election day, no? So, um, the there is a time frame for the casting of votes during election day. The election code says it's 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. However, with recent automation of elections, there have been adjustments in the time of voting, like in the um, last 2022 election, voting started as early as 6 o'clock a.m. Up to 7 o'clock p.m. This allowed for voters who are specifically and uniquely situated to cast their votes earlier on, like those who are serving during elections or those who are PWDs or senior citizens. So there could be a lot more time for them to vote with more ease. Ano? So the voting period or the voting time ends, well, it's 3 o'clock p.m., but from the last elections, it was set later, um, 30 minutes before the previously announced end of voting time. Um, those persons who are 30 meters within the polling places will be allowed to vote. So there will be a general notification in the area, and those in the area will come near um, uh, the voting area and have their names listed as within the 30-meter radius so that they will still be allowed to vote hanggang maubos silang lahat. So um, what happens thereafter is that when the voting begins, first voter or when the voter comes to the polling place to cast his vote, the BEI will verify his identity. So how does he verify his identity? Well, you may be asked to present your competent proof of identity, and it's going to be compared in the um, election day computerized voters list. So during your presentment of yourself and your identification card, there might be objections or challenges um, by those who are there as to your um, qualification for voting. Or, for example, if you gambled on the results of the voting, remember, as I said earlier, no, or if you are, those instances na could be subject of a challenge, no, after magtake ng oath or whatnot, no, um, they will be allowed to, they will be required to sign or affix their thumbprint in the record before they get a ballot. But again, their ID, their persons are verified in the election day computerized voters list or the EDC VL. No? Um, they before they are given the ballots, their thumbs are their fingers, not thumbs, their fingers are kasi may mga instances na may 'di ba may putol yung mga daliri. So kung ano yung finger na sinasaad sa batas, chine-check 'yon ng uh, Board of Election Inspectors before the ballot is given to you. Now, there is a common concern there. There are a lot of instances when you go to your polling place, hindi mo makita ang pangalan mo sa election day computerized the voters list, no? The EDCVL. So, what do? This is what you tell your clients or this is what you tell your household. If you cannot find your name in the EDC VL, you go to the posted computerized voters list. These are normally posted within the polling places, outside the polling places. It may be possible that due to precinct clustering, your name might be simply be assigned to a different room or a building within the same voting center. So if you find your name, write your precinct number and a sequence number and head to the specific room. Again, kung wala sa EDCVL, go to the posted PCVL and check on your name and your correct room. Kasi nga because of the clustering, baka nalagay ka sa ibang room, no? Kung wala pa rin doon sa PCVL, no? The posted computerized voters list, you go to the voters assistance desk. Yung voter assistance desk, um, ito yung support staff ng COMELEC kasama ang accredited arms like PPCRV or NAMFREL. What they have usually is the master directory of the entire voting center. And with that, they can do a quick search or quick sweep of the records to verify if your name is there written, no, in the voters list. No? Wala pa rin, you have sought your name sa EDCVL, then um, sa posted na computerized voters list, wala pa rin, pumunta ka na sa voters assistance desk, wala pa rin ang pangalan mo. What you do next is you go to the electoral board chairperson. Then you ask him uh, to double check the names again. Always double check kasi this is your right, of suffrage. Maybe if voters verification machine is available, kung meron man ganyang technology or whatever means that they can make use of, they can double check, triple check on your name. Aside from, again, the manual sweeping of the various voters list available at that time. Now, if your name is definitely on that, not on the list, it means na you are not allowed to vote. You will not be allowed to vote. That is very unfortunate, but that is the reality. Really, you will not be allowed to vote if your name is not on the EDCVL, the PCVL, or in whatever supplementary or supplementary list, no? You will not be allowed to vote. You might be asking, again, why is your name not on the voters list? Marami, napagdaanan na natin ang lecture na ito, ang matters na ito. Maybe your name was deactivated. Your voters registration was deactivated for reasons like hindi ka nakapagboto sa consecutive elections, ano. Your registration may have been deactivated. There might be multiple registrations na na-detect ng biometrics mo, or it may be possible that you applied for a transfer and hindi pa naasikaso yung transfer mo from one precinct to another, or one area or district to another, or maybe just a plain clerical error or a glitch in the computer perhaps. So what do you do? There are post-election remedies if you were not able to vote. Well, for most, you could of course record, no? Well, during hindi pa naman talaga post-election, kasi during the time na nandoon ka, you could request or require the BEI to record the incident in their minutes, no? You present your ID and that you were denied to vote because your name was not found in any of the list, no? So then this will be included in the minutes of the precinct. So you could also thereafter file an affidavit after elections and proceed to the COMELEC, um, saying that you have been disenfranchised, or you may file a written complaint. But then you have to attach your ID and state that you were unjustly excluded from the list. Or you could apply for reactivation if you have realized that your registration was deactivated, no? If your registration was deactivated. So pwede ring ganyan, no? So you could vote on the next election. So um yung ating sinasabing pag-vote it depends on the type of elections, no? Kasi if it's manual elections, you have to write the names. But kung hindi siya manual, it's automated. The only thing you have to do is shade. No writing is allowed or required. You only shade the space or the oval. Normally, it's the oval para ma-detect ng vote counting machine. No? Again, if you overvote, this will be detrimental because the overvoting um, will not count any of the votes for that specific position. Like, nag-overvote ka, dalawa ang president mo, the vote for the president will not be, for both, will not be honored. But for the other portions of the ballot, ika-count din naman ng machine yon. Okay? Better to undervote than overvote, no? If you, for example, elected 13 senators, that's very unfortunate because none of the votes will be counted. No? But you can vote for 7. That's less than the half of the senators. No? And it will be counted. Undervoting better than overvoting normally in the previous elections. No? You also have to observe privacy and secrecy in the filling up of your ballots. You have to you make use of the voter secrecy folder or kung merong voting booth, which is very ideal. Well, yun ang tawag nila, voting booth, yung armchair ng ng eskwelahan, pero it's just a secrecy folder. But better like abroad, they have voting booths, no? No one can accompany you in the voting except for authorized cases. Again, remember that there are prohibited acts which you have to consider during the voting. It's prohibited for you to prepare your ballots outside the voting booth. You are prohibited to speak with anyone inside the polling place. Remain silent, no? You are prohibited from exhibiting the contents of the ballot to any other person that is a deterrent to vote buying. You are prohibited from erasing any printing, intentionally tear or deface, or put distinguishing marks on the ballot. Aside from the ballot possibly not being read, no, this will really be prohibited because these are indicators of vote buying. Of course, for especially for manual voting, you cannot make use of carbon paper, paraffin paper, or any other means to copy the ballot's contents and identify the vote. Again, to deter vote buying. No, you feed, no, you feed when you get the ballot, when you are given the ballot, you fill it up. After filling it, it's fed to the machine, and then there is a receipt given to you. You call that the VVPAT. VVPAT, remember? Okay, that is your receipt, no? Verify the voters' receipt, no? Um, you feed it in the machine. Sorry, you after you complete the ballot, the ballot you personally feed it in the machine. Then there is the VVPAT, no? The or the voter's receipt that is issued by the machine, and this is mandatory. Remember the case of movement versus Comelec. The printing of the VVPAT is mandatory. So what you do, you look at your VVPAT, your receipt, you check it to ensure that your vote has really been counted, and after that, you fold the receipt and drop it into the designated receptacle for the VVPAT. Yung ginagawa ng iba kasi, once the vote is fed, the ballot is fed into the machine, nagpiprint ng VVPAT, they just are asked by the inspectors to fold it and then i-drop mo lang dyan. Now, you shouldn't do that. You have to look at the receipt and verify if your vote has been properly cast. Um, there are prohibited acts inside the polling places. Gadgets are not allowed. You're strictly prohibited to use mobile phones, cameras, or any image capturing device inside the voting booth. The BI must be very careful about this because right now, surveillance button cams, cameras are already available even in the online market. No, cameras which are as small as buttons, magnetic as it is, which which will allow for video streaming or video capture or photo capture of the votes. That must be also considered by the BAI. You know? So double check. No photos of the ballots or the VVPAT will be allowed. That is prohibited. You cannot also bring out the materials like the official ballot, the marking pen, the secrecy folder. Bawal i-take out sa polling place. Illegal yan. I saw on social media some people bragging about accidentally bringing with them the markers. No, that's illegal. You don't bring any of this paraphernalia outside the voting area. Um, Special considerations. There's the requirement of an accessible polling place. Special accessible polling areas, usually on the ground floor, are established for the PWD senior citizens and heavily pregnant women so that they do not have to climb the stairs or ensure long lines in regular precincts. These are actually already practiced as the Constitution requires it, making the elections more inclusive. No, let's look at some special incidents. There is a question before. It was emailed to me before. No, I forgot to address it, but I will address it now. If a winning candidate is disqualified, does the candidate who gets the second highest number of votes automatically take the seat? There was the general rule in 1992 in Labo versus Comelec says that the simple reason is that and as he obtained only the second highest number of votes in the election, he was obviously not the choice of the people. The rule, therefore, is the ineligibility of the candidate receiving the majority votes does not entitle the eligible candidate receiving the next higher number of votes to be declared elected. So, if you are the second placer and the first placer disqualified sa mga umabot na election, it you will not be deemed as the person who will be deemed elected, no, because in the case of Labo versus Comelec, well, um ano yun ang nangyari na naka-disqualify ang first placer, second placer gusto niyang umupo as the winning candidate but hindi pwede. But that's in 1992. In 2012, however, there's this case of Aratea versus Comelec. So si Aratea got disqualified um, for a material misrepresentation. No? Um, so this case says that whether he's from our previous lecture, you recall that um, if it's because of material misrepresentation, um, the the votes given to him are deemed um, votes for candidate who has filed his certificate of candidacy as a void ab initio. There was no valid voting to speak of as far as he is concerned because his COC is void ab initio. Ergo, since the respondent in this case was never a candidate for the position, the votes cast for him should be considered stray votes. Consequently, intervenor who remains as the sole candidate for the mayoralty post and obtained the highest number of votes should now be proclaimed the duly elected mayor of San Antonio. Okay. So the next in rank, uh, um, the next in rank, um, or the next highest number of votes garnered during the election, that candidate will be considered as the one who won in the election. That was in the case of Aratea versus Comelec. But recent case, the case of Mangudadato versus Comelec, says now there is no legal basis for that, ano daw, for that um, decision, not decision, not, no legal basis for that, ano, um, replacement, no? No law authorizes the proclamation of a second placer in the election in case the candidate who received the most votes is disqualified or turned out to be ineligible. So it's a turnaround from previous decisions, no? So this is the case of Manguda Datu versus Comelec. Um, because in this case, there was material misrepresentation. What happened was that the Supreme Court did not deem the second placer the one who garnered the next number of votes, especially that in automated elections, the shading is always intentional, no? For who a candidate specifically wants to vote. Um, because there is no legal authority daw for that previous decision in Aratea, Supreme Court abandoned it and said that, well, the person who is the second placer does not assume the position. The court cannot impose upon the electorate to accept as their representative the candidate whom they did not choose for in the election. So what is to be done? Consequently, the disqualification or cancellation of a winning candidate merely creates a permanent vacancy. Because of that, Section 44 of the Local Government Code, Section 44 and 45, then requires that the elected person, kasi governor ang tinakbuhan nito, the winner for the vice governor, kasi naging bakante na ang governor, the vice governor now, the winner, becomes governor. Okay? The case of Manguda Datu versus Comelec. But there's this recent case, remember the case of Abante. Um, it appeared that Joey Chua Uy won in the congressional elections for their district, no? But na-question ni Benny Abante yung kanyang citizenship qualification, among others. So, what happened was that um, when he was defeated, Benny Abante petitioned COMELEC to cancel the results of the election. So the election result was cancelled. It was actually eventually cancelled by the COMELEC, the election result. And because of that, Abante was proclaimed the person next in line, second in highest, second highest siya. He was deemed to have won the election, no? Because allegedly material misrepresentation, void ab initio. So sabi ni Abante siya ang nanalo. But that is not yet a Supreme Court ruling. It was just a COMELEC ruling because as of the present, as of April 2026, when this video is being made, the Supreme Court has yet to decide on the matter. Kaya nandyan pa si Abante sa Congress. Special issues, you might not heard of this, Lanzadera. What is Lanzadera? This is a mechanism for voting, vote buying. No, this is chain vote buying. So what happens is um, the organizer, no, the operator steals a ballot. Somehow he gets a hand on a blank ballot. Now, he fills up that ballot to the with the names of his candidates, and then he will purchase the votes of a voter. He will give him the filled up ballot before the voter goes to the polling place. So dala-dala na ng botante yung filled up ballot. Pumunta ngayon sa polling place yung botante, kumuha ng blank ballot. He will put it in his pocket and take out the ballot that was previously filled up by the operator. So pupunta siya kunwari sa voting booth, boboto kunwari, pero kukunin lang pala yung filled up ballot. and then ilalagay sa kanyang bulsa, bubulsa niya yung kanyang blank ballot. He submits the ballot, um, and then gets out of the polling place with a blank ballot. This goes on, goes to the operator, hands out the blank ballot, and then the operator fills it up again for the next voter, and then it's a chain, it's a cycle. But this normally happens during manual voting kasi medyo mahirap itago yung ballot sa automated election kasi malaki yon, di ba? Tsaka hindi pwedeng i-fold, di ba? So, this lanzadera is normally, generally for the manual voting, no? This is a matter that dapat bantayan siya during elections. In the first place, bakit nakakuha sila ng blankong balota yung operator? So, flying voters, of course, illegal siya. Ang daming instances na the definition has been expanded, but strictly, a flying voter, according to the Omnibus Election Code, is any person who votes more than once in the same election. Or it could be any person who votes in substitution for another, whether with or without the consent of the person whom he voted uh, in substitution for, no? So mo na siya ang flying voter, yan siya ang flying voter. Pero ang dami pang ibang ginawang kahulugan kung ano yung flying voter, but strictly ito yung nasa Omnibus Election Code. So ano ang remedies niyan? Indelible ink. Dapat titingnan talaga ng BEI. Biometrics for the automated voting. Okay? And then exclusion proceedings. Fake news. Fake news happens during and before elections, and sometimes even elections. The use of social media in the Philippines has been actually already utilized for elections to even win an election for a candidate or disrepute one, no? Ang fake news gumagawa ng maling facts para tanggalin o ilagay sa pwesto ang isang kandidato, no? Ang dami niyang epekto, and it's really ongoing. It's really the practice in the Philippines right now that in the international sphere we are considered as patient zero. Our country is patient zero in the spread of fake news, especially during elections. Ang fake news kasi, ang dami niyang ang dami niyang it's got too much effects and consequences. It results to historical revisionism, no? Disinformation networks are frequently used to reframe historical narratives. Coordinated online campaigns push context or content that whitewashes the past political eras and promotes nostalgia using perhaps fabricated achievements to convince voters of the qualification of their candidate. For example, ang daming nagawa ng dating Pangulong Marcos, di ba? And yung credit grabbing allegedly of one administration in achievements, kinakalimutan na yung EDSA People Power Revolution, even the Aquino assassination, because of the rewriting of history, nalilimutan na nga the effects of martial law in the 70s and 80s. Okay? It depends sa political polarization. This fake news kasi thrives on engagement, which algorithms reward by promoting inflammatory or emotionally charged content. Diba? Kapag trending ang post mo, trending ang iyong inyong blog as a content creator, may monetization kasi. And with that, many will be motivated to make a business out of it, to make a livelihood out of it, making a livelihood not because of political discourse, but because of political polarization. Right now, it's a war between at least two major political factions, no? Um, then um, fake news um, results to the coordinated smear campaign kasi normally may mga troll farms yan, and the fake news is so organized that you get confused na of what is real and what is not, no? Kaya may mga checks, no, mga truth or fact checkers, no. Fake news also erodes the trust in institutions like mainstream media. Ngayon talagang eroded. I don't know what's your opinion on that, but mainstream media, its reputation has been heavily eroded nowadays, no. And also it erodes the trust in government. You look at the trust rating of the current administration, hindi naman ganoon kalaki because of social media. I don't know if it's because of fake news or because of legit news. But kung legit news, may political ano na nga backlash, how much more fake news. So fake news is weaponized to demean, manipulate, and destroy. But also, what is alarming is that fake news results to mind conditioning. Yung mga survey results, conditioning the people na hindi talaga winnable itong isang kandidato. Nasabihin ng kandida ng botante, awag na lang na iboto yan kasi hindi naman din mananalo. Because sabi ng survey ganito. So, fake news via fake surveys also creates mind conditioning, for example, no? So, there are recent cases, Kumafay versus Comelec. Si Kumafay kasi dinisqualify because of a simple comma. Kulang ng comma yung kanyang address. Kaya nagkaroon ng parang sabing material misrepresentation daw, thereby canceling his COC. Sabi ng Supreme Court, a petition to deny due course or cancel COC may be granted only upon clear proof that a candidate made a fake material or false material representation regarding the qualifications such as residency, age, or citizenship. A missing comma did not affect Kumafay's qualifications, did not affect it. The omission was harmless because it did not change the meaning of the address or relate to his qualification. So that's a victory for Kumafay. Guys, a lawyer. Um, this case of Ali versus Bangsamoro Transition Authority, medyo mahalagang ano din, um, uh, case because uh, because uh, in this case the Bangsamoro Transition Authority um, caused the redistricting, the reallocations of each district in the BARM after the start of the election period. The Supreme Court said that this is not allowed and this is illegal because no territory comprising an election on an election precinct shall be altered or a new one created after the start of the election period. So this move to redistribute or redistrict the existing district was declared by the Supreme Court to be unconstitutional. What the Supreme Court directed was it prohibited the alteration, the creation, merging of districts, and moved the election, moved the election accordingly, um, um, saying that COMELEC should set the official start of the election period. Sorry, that the COMELEC should hold the election period or the next election in the next year, no? October 13. 22, sorry, March 31 supposedly. No later than March 31 supposedly of 2026 supposedly. Okay, March 31 supposedly in that case. So this um, this semester has been very um, productive for the class, especially for my in-person classes. For those who have been viewing the video or making use of it as your study aids in your endeavor to become lawyers, thank you for viewing my videos. Though this is something I just do voluntarily and not actually monetized. Um, I hope that you learned from it because you're learning from the law from me, or learning of the law from me, making me part of your journey towards your endeavor to become lawyers is already a reward for me. Good luck in your endeavors and have a pleasant day ahead.